Okay, what we're going to look at here, I actually went into the BSU, Boise State University website, and began looking around. And I noticed that they have the College of Health Sciences that you can actually, delve further into. And I thought this would be a good chance for us because, a lot of the universities will have all of this stuff available to you, whether you want to go to BSU or you want to go somewhere else. In general, they have a lot of the same information available to somebody that's looking for information. So let's see, we went to Boise State University, I went to the College of Health Sciences, and just kind of taking a peek around at what they have available. Looks like you can get a Bachelor of Science in Pre-Dental. These are undergraduate degree programs that you're going to go on and do something else with. Bachelor of Science in Pre-Med, if you want to become a physician. How about if you wanted to become a vet? There's a BS in Pre-Veterinary Medicine here before you actually go on to another university and go further. Like this one right here, I thought it was very interesting that if you clicked on here, that Pre-Veterinary Medicine, that Idaho and the state of Washington actually the state of Washington at the University of Washington has agreed to accept 11 students from Idaho into their vet program up there. So you could go ahead and get your Bachelor of Science here, and then you could apply to get into the vet program up there at Washington State University, because they don't have that here. Here you could just get your Bachelor of Science and then you would go further up there. But I thought that was quite interesting that University of Washington actually has some type of special program set up where they will accept 11 students from Idaho into their vet program there. Let's see what else we have here. Non-degree programs, you're preparing for more in-depth study at other institutions. So you could take your pre-chiropractic classes here. You could take pre-optometry if you want to be an eye physician, pre-pharmacy, pre-physician assistant. That would be if you wanted to be a PA. Like they're usually, a lot of times there are nurses that have gone on to, you can become a nurse practitioner, which is very similar to a PA. They work underneath or with a physician a lot of times. What else do we have here? Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Bachelor of Science in K-12 Physical Education. Graduate programs in nursing, so that would be going further than just getting your BS in nursing. You would actually probably be getting your master's degree. Bachelor of Science in Respiratory Therapy, Bachelor of Science in Radiologic Sciences. So there's quite a bit here under that College of Health Sciences that you can actually find information on if it's a field that you're interested in. So what I thought we would do is actually take a peek at maybe a couple of them here, just see how, what we can gather. Maybe you were interested in pharmacy. So, here they have the pre-pharmacy. So I thought, well, let's just go ahead and see what classes they want you to take as you're preparing to go to pharmacy school. What would you take at BSU? It says here, Boise State University students who want to receive a doctorate in pharmacy usually plan to take their pre-professional courses at BSU and then apply for admission to the College of Pharmacy at Idaho State University. So it says here, the pharmacy program usually consists of 3 years of preparatory studies, that's a lot, followed by 4 years in the College of Pharmacy at Idaho State University. So sounds like 7 years are needed for that. Here's the curriculum below for the prereq, the 3 years, what you would need to be taking before you would go into the apply to the College of Pharmacy at Idaho State University. Looks like here we have some people to call, either email them or call them if you had some questions maybe that you couldn't get answered with all the stuff that's here. You'd want to look through different things, or maybe some additional questions that you had that you would want to ask. You could contact an advisor for that pre-pharmacy program here. Let's take a look at some of the things that they want you to take. as you're preparing to get into that College of Pharmacy at Idaho State University. English, 6 units. Usually a class is 3 units. So that tells me that, you have 2 classes here, each one being 3. So I could either tell by looking here, 101 and 102, or the 6 units tell me that. Let's see. You have 6 to 12 credits you have to take in the arts, humanities area. Social sciences, you need to have maybe 2 classes in social sciences. You need to have speech, economics, and they give you 2 options. You could pick one or the other, micro or macroeconomics. Looks like they want you to have a semester of biology. When you see the 4 like that, it usually means that there's 3 credits for a lecture and 1 credit for a lab. So 4 credits for that semester of biology. They want you to have human anatomy and physiology, that has a lab. Microbiology, that has a lab. Looks like here you need to have, call it chemistry 1 and 2 with labs, each one being 4 units for a total of 8. Organic chemistry, they actually want you to have 10 units, 10 credits. So I'm not sure if that means that you have, I'm not sure if chemistry, some classes when they have a lab, the labs are worth more credits, so the total between the lecture and lab would be 5 credits. That might be what that is here. You'd have to actually look over in the schedule of classes and in the little handout pamphlet that, or sometimes you can even get it online now. You can look up chemistry 307, 308, 309, 310, see how many units each one is, see if they have labs or how that works out to actually obtain the 10 credits that are needed for the organic chemistry. You need biochemistry, one or the other. Here you need college algebra and trig or pre-calculus. So then here you even need more math. You need to go on to a survey of calculus, or you take the first semester of calculus. You need statistics, which is math, and you need physics. Now, in looking down here, it says many pharmacy programs. I don't know if you'd have to check with the University of Idaho and see if, or was it the University of Idaho? The Idaho State University, if they wanted you to have an entire year of biology and an entire year of physics. So it says many pharmacy programs require that second semester of biology and that second semester of physics. So you'd have to check to where you're going as to what they required. But that gives you a good idea of the pre-pharmacy coursework that would have to be done before you even before you even applied for the admission to the College of Pharmacy at Idaho State University, for one. So quite a bit of work there. So let's go on and look at something else here. How about the nursing? What's that? What kind of prereqs what kind of classes would you have to take before you even get into the nursing program? Because you can actually get a BS in nursing here. And it's interesting, even St. Luke's now, the hospitals are changing a lot. Some are requiring that you actually have, rather than an AA degree in nursing, they want you to have a BS, which is a 4-year degree in nursing. St. Luke's new plan for hiring now is that the nurses that they hire, they are requiring now to have a BS, a 4-year degree in nursing. So let's see, let's go through the admission process, see what it says here. In fact, let me back up one. It says here, students apply for admission to the nursing program during the last semester of completing their prerequisite courses. So you want to start working on them, and then during that last semester of doing your prereq courses is when you actually apply to the nursing program. And then the nursing courses, you have 5 semesters worth of work. So let's see. And remember, there's 2 semesters per year. Let's see what it says here about the admission. You could look for the cost. The cost of the program was there. So the four-year Bachelor of Science degree consists of 3 semesters of prerequisite courses and 5 semesters of the nursing classes. So that'll be 5 plus 2 is 8, so that's 4 years. See what they require. So you can read through here, I'm just picking bits and pieces here. Continuing into the nursing part of the program is contingent upon a completed application, a completed School of Nursing application. It looks like the admission GPA, you have to have a certain GPA. And they don't use all of your classes to determine it, and different schools determine who they're going to admit differently. Sometimes there's a lottery. I've even seen a lottery. Sometimes they go by your GPA in certain courses, so it really depends on where you are as to what the method is that they use to admit students in, because there's usually more students that apply than are admitted, than are spaces, that are available to take students. Admission GPA is going to look like composed of grades in the biology, the chemistry, and it looks like the other chemistry classes and math. So they have to be 3.0 or greater, it looks like to me, the admission GPA. Now the other prereqs then can have a grade of C. But remember, if the overall GPA, as far as deciding who's going to get in, it certainly would behoove whoever is trying to get into the nursing program to have high grades, because something's going to have to separate out the ones that they're taking from the ones that they're not able to select. So it would seem that you would want to not only you have to have the 3.0 here, but you probably would also want to have higher grades down here too, and not, even though they only require a C. Like I said, there's usually many more students than there are spaces available, and so somehow they're going to have to select, and that might be what they look at. So let's see. You have to have a criminal background check, a drug alcohol test. There's a program of study. Let's look at some other admission requirements, see if they say anything else about anything. Admission requirements for the School of Nursing Bachelor of Science degree. The courses listed below must be completed with a grade of C or better before submitting an application. The admission GPA is calculated from the grades of these courses, must be 3.0 or higher to apply to the program. So maybe an A could offset, you have to have at least a C, and the overall GPA has to be at least a 3.0 or higher. So it would behoove you to always try and get a B or higher. So it looks like there's that anatomy, physiology, there's those chemistry courses. Here's some. The following courses need to be completed with a grade of C or better before application, but are not used to calculate the admission GPA. So you need college writing, general psychology. These courses are not used here. The following must be completed with a C or better. This is before application. This is before or during the semester of application. See that there's a lot to actually keep track of, so you'd have to be very organized as you go about preparing to enter into any field, as far as the classes that you need to take, when you need to apply for something, etc. So I'm going to take a look at, let's see if it says something about the program of study. Just kind of an idea. Usually once you get into the nursing program, you pretty much have to go through in the order that they have it set up. See if we can bring that up. Okay, so it looks like semester 1 and 2, there's 1 year, 2 years, 5 and 6 would be the 3rd year. So that looks like a pretty good plan for a 4-year plan on getting through your prereqs and then the nursing classes themselves, which would then give you the BS in nursing too. Now, once you start the nursing classes, usually They usually have to be done in the order. Like I can't take this one over here before this one. They usually are done in the order that they have them set up. So that semester you'd be taking 16 credits, and this is what it would be. The next semester, this is what it would be. Semester 6, this is what it would be. Now over here for the prereqs, you have to be careful. Sometimes those can be moved around, but when you're you're setting up how you're going to be taking them, you have to be very careful, because sometimes some classes are only offered in spring or maybe in fall. So you can't. You kind of have to plan when are the classes that I need, when are they going to be available, and how will I set it up into a working chart for myself, such that when the semester 1, 2, and 3 are done, I have covered everything and taken everything that I need to have. So that gives you, though, kind of a good overview of what the 4 years would look like, kind of on the whole. Nursing probably wouldn't change much at all. These over here could change maybe a little bit. Okay, but it gives you a good overall look at it. And I thought I would go back and look at the respiratory therapy. Let's just see what it says for that. Let's see, Bachelor of Science in Respiratory Therapy. See if this is anything here. Course descriptions. Let's go back and look at one thing first here. Specialist in respiratory care. They're usually, they work in hospitals. Let's see, the Bachelor of Science degree is an entry into respiratory care professional practice program. You usually have to work with somebody out in the field for a while. Graduates are eligible to sit, though, and take the exam for the National Board for Respiratory Care. Let's see if they have any curriculum set up here. Let's see if it makes any sense to us. We may have to talk with somebody, because important to contact an advisor as soon as you're considering a respiratory care program, because that advisor then can help in course selection and class schedule management. Here's the freshman year. It looks like they have you taking the writing, human anatomy and physiology. Math. I don't know what DLM is for math. Medical terminology, writing, another semester of human anatomy and physiology. There's some chemistry, some general psychology. Sophomore year, a lot of respiratory classes here for the entire year. It seems like from now on out, there's quite a few respiratory classes. So here's your sophomore year. Clinical practicum, where you actually either work on mannequins or you might even work on each other. It's the clinical practice of actually doing what you're learning. You can tell it's 17 credits. And again, you'd have to go into the handout that they are, even online. You can look it up. You can look up what each of these classes, exactly what they cover, very briefly. It'll tell you how many credits it is, but it gives you an idea of what exactly is covered. It may be, it could be 2-3 sentences, could be a short paragraph, but it'll tell you what each of these classes, exactly what's going to be covered in there, which is, it doesn't stay right here. Theory. So a lot of respiratory stuff. Here's an elective you could take. Literature and humanities. So it sounds like for respiratory, to get your 4-year degree, that a lot of the electives are, at least to me, just by glancing at this, appears to be involving the respiratory care in some way. So that looks like that would be a good one to talk to an advisor about. Oh, look at course descriptions. They might even have it here. Let's see. Let's see if they say anything. Oh, like, see here, so I'm looking for. That's what I was telling you. You could go into the handbook of all the classes for all different fields, and it usually tells you in a couple of sentences, what that particular class is going to cover. Medical gas therapy to include clinical gases, gas mixtures, equipment, basic concepts, are covered. Tells you some of the prerequisites before you take this, what you have to take first. So even here, you wouldn't even have to go outside of this particular site to get an idea of exactly what's being covered for each class. So what I'd like to have you do is go to the Boise State University site and go to the site that talks about, remember, the College of Health Sciences, and you'll come across the same thing here. I'd like you to pick one of them that might be of interest to you, that may be something that you might consider going into. I'd like to have you go through and look at some of the classes and write down and kind of give me a sampling of some of the classes that you would be needing to take. And then I'd also like you to look around a little bit and give me 2 other tidbits of information regarding whatever you have chosen. And then when you give me a call, we'll talk about some of the classes that you found that you need to take for that particular program and a couple other interesting tidbits of information. An example would be like when I was going through the Science of Pre-Veterinary Medicine, how I found that, the University of Washington accepts 11 students from Idaho per year. I thought that was kind of interesting. So I think that's it for now on this, and I'll be looking forward to talking to you. Remember, you need to call to get the credit for the class, so I'll talk to you soon on this. Thanks for watching. Bye.